Okay, we are supposed to take a look on the concept for elasticity. So at first we want to define what we refer to as elasticity. So elasticity is a measure of how a change in one economic variable will affect the other. Okay, so what do we mean? We mean that when we are taking into account elasticity, we are trying to measure how much does one variable have an effect on the other variable. Is the other variable much responsive, or is the other variable less responsive? Okay, so we want to take into account the relationship between two variables, which could be price and quantity demand. And we want to see how much does quantity demand react to a given change in price. Okay, so within the concept of elasticity, we have price elasticity of demand, we have income elasticity of demand, we also have price elasticity of demand, we have income elasticity of demand, and we also have cross elasticity of demand. Okay, we have price elasticity, we have income elasticity, we have cross elasticity of demand. Okay, so let me write that down here. We are saying elasticity. Within elasticity, we have three concepts. What do they include? They include PED. So PED is the one that we are referring to as price elasticity. We have PED, price elasticity of demand. We have income elasticity of demand that I'm referring to as YED. We have cross elasticity of demand that I'm denoting by XED. Okay, so elasticity, we have this one, we have this one, and we also have this one. Okay, so what do we mean? So let's now start with price elasticity of demand now. Okay, let's now start with price elasticity of demand, PED. Okay, so by PED, it measures the responsiveness. It measures the responsiveness of quantity demand. It measures the responsiveness of quantity demand to a change in price. Okay, so by PED, we are trying to measure that how much does quantity demand of a good, how much does it react to a certain change. Okay. How do we calculate that one? PED is equal to the change in quantity, percentage change in quantity demand. This will be a percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in price. Okay, so this is how we calculate PED. Here we have a division sign here. Okay, PED, percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in price. We want to see that after there is a 1% change in the price of a good, how much does its quantity demand react? Okay, how much does its quantity demand react. Okay, so if we calculate PED, and if PED is greater than 1, if PED is greater than 1, we need to comment the good in question is a luxury good. The good in question is a luxury good. Okay, we've calculated our PED. After we have calculated our PED, if the price elasticity of demand, our result is greater than 1, then the good in question is a luxury. Okay, luxury good, it means PED which is greater than 1, it is elastic. Okay, and then if we calculate PED, if it is less than 1, the good in question is a basic good. It is a basic good. So what do we mean when PET is greater than 1? We mean that any percentage change in price will cause quantity demand to have a larger effect. A certain small change in price will have a larger effect on quantity demand, and this good is a luxury good. If the price of a luxury good increases by 10%, it can cause its quantity demand to decrease by 40%. So what is the good? It could be pizza. Okay, it could be those types of goods which are luxuries, because only a 10% increase in price causes the quantity demand of that good to decrease maybe by 40%. So simple as if we have 40 on top, we have 40% on top, we are dividing 40% by 10%. If we divide 40% by 10%, what is our answer? Our answer is 4, ne? Our answer is 4, and 4 is greater than 1. So that is a luxury good.
Luxury. Okay.
Okay. If we calculate PED and see that it is less than 1, now let's say a change in price, let's say this is a milli. Let's say this is milli. The price is increased by 30%. The price of milli increased by 30%. Its demand have only decreased by 20 divided by 30. It's 0. What?
0.6.
0.6.
0.6, yeah.
Okay. 0.6. 0.6 is less than 1. So it is a what? It is a basic good.
Yeah.
Okay. And whenever you calculate PED, it must give you a negative sign. Every time you calculate PED, it must give you a negative sign. Okay. Why a negative sign? Because already the relationship between quantity demand and price is always a negative.
Okay.
From the demand curve. That's why the demand curve has a negative slope. Why? Because the relationship between the price and quantity demand is what? Is negative.
Negative.
So PED, it must always give you a negative sign. But since we know that it must always give you a negative sign, ignore the negative sign, because already it is obvious that whenever you calculate it, it must give you a negative sign. So ignore the negative sign. Okay. After you have ignored it, let's say it was -3, it's the same as if it is 3. Okay. Because already it has been established that if you calculate PED, it must give you a negative sign. Okay. with regard to PET. We also have income elasticity of demand, which we are denoting by Y. It measures the responsiveness of quantity demand, responsiveness of quantity demand to a change in income. Okay, YED measures the responsiveness of quantity demand to a change in price. Now we want to see to a change in income. Now we want to see how much does quantity demand change after a change in income. Calculate it. Calculate it.
But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It means always
Percentage.
It doesn't look good.
Change in QD, which is quantity demand, divided by percentage change in income, which I'm denoting by YE. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I'm denoting by quantity demand is the one I'm denoting by QD. Okay. So after you calculate YED, YED is Q1. What does it mean? If YED, a change in income, have caused a greater change in quantity demand. What does that mean? To the good itself. The good is known as a normal good. So this is how you comment after you have calculated it. The good is a what?
Normal.
Is a normal good. A normal good, we are saying that an increase in income, it is positive. Remember, here now we consider the signs. We only do not consider the signs with regard to PET.
Okay.
YED and XED, we consider the signs. Okay. So if YED, let's just say if YED is positive. Let's just say if YED is positive. Okay. No matter it's 0.2, if it is positive. Okay. Let's say if you calculate YED, if it is positive, it means that's a normal good. Why is it a normal good? An increase in income, you have caused people to buy more of that good. So it is a normal good. People are now demanding more of that good after there is an increase in income. Okay. If you calculate YED and if it gives you a negative sign, the good in question is an inferior good. The good in question is an inferior good. The increase in income have caused a decrease in quantity demand. Increase in income have caused a decrease in quantity demand. So at the end of the day, the relationship is now negative. When one variable increased, the other variable decreased. So it will give you a negative sign. So here we are saying that when you now start to earn 50,000 per month, there are some goods that you no longer buy. Okay. When you now start to earn 100,000, you are no longer finding ShopRite. Okay. You are now going to Woolworths. When you are now earning 150,000, you are no longer buying second-hand products. You now buying first-hand products. Okay. So what does that mean? Those products are inferior goods. Okay, I just save a minute so that I can put my laptop on charge. So do you understand this one, Tumsan?
No, yeah, I do.
You understand it, ne?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So we also have what is known as XED, which is cross elasticity of demand. Okay. So by cross elasticity of demand, it measures the responsiveness of quantity demand to a change. Okay, it measures the responsiveness of quantity demand of good X to a change in price of good Y. Okay. It measures the responsiveness of quantity of good X to a change in price of good Y. Now we are saying that if the price of fuel goes up, it has an effect on the demand for cars. Okay. If the price of coffee increases, it has an effect on the quantity demand of tea. Okay. How do we measure XED? XED is equal to the percentage change in QD of good X. QD of good X divided by the percentage change in price of good Y. Okay. Divided by the percentage change in price of good Y. Okay. If you calculate XED, if XED, if you calculate and you see it has a positive sign. If the sign is positive, what does it mean? If the sign is positive, it means that when the price of good Y increases, it caused the quantity demand of good X to increase. When coffee became expensive, people shifted to start buying tea, and the quantity of tea increased. So what are these goods? These are substitutes. Okay. If XED is negative, when the price of fuel increased to 140 Rand per liter, quantity demand of cars decreased.
Goes down as well.
It goes down, eh? What are those goods? these goods are complements. Okay. Okay. So these are the several types of price elasticity of demand. Okay. So now we want to take a look on magnitudes. The magnitudes. We have price elasticity of, so these are the magnitudes of price elasticity of demand. We have relatively elastic, we have perfectly elastic, we have unitary elastic, we have perfectly inelastic, we have relatively inelastic. These are the 5 magnitudes of price elasticity of demand. Inelastic. Okay. There's no A here. There's no A here. Okay. Relatively elastic. We are saying that this is PD. So we have price here. And we have quantity there. Okay.
Yeah,
Relatively elastic, the demand curve will look like this.
okay.
We now want to measure the steepness. Okay, how does a demand curve that is of relatively elastic, how does it look? It is like this. Okay, what does it mean? Let's say this was the price and the quantity. Okay, the price only decreased by this small margin. What happened to quantity demand? Quantity demand increased a lot. Okay, this is the only change in price here. Let's say a 10% decrease in price. A 10% decrease in price have caused the quantity demand to increase by 40%. This is relatively elastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfectly elastic. Okay, let me use good color here. Perfectly elastic. What are we saying? How does the demand curve looks like? Perfectly elastic. This is the demand curve. It is horizontal. Okay. What do we have here? We have the price. Here we have the quantity. Okay. What are we saying? We are saying that at this price, let's say it's 5 rand. Okay. Any attempt to change the price, will cause the demand for that good to go to zero. Let's say you are in the vegetable market. There are plenty of vendors. There are 100 vendors. If you say, no, my vegetables are very expensive compared to the others, what will happen to your quantity demand? No one will buy from you, ne? Because you can simply approach the next vendor and buy the same. So any attempt to change the price, will cause quantity demand to fall to zero. So this is perfectly elastic. Okay. So I'll need to wrap this so that I can move on to unitary elastic. Unitary elastic. This is the demand curve for unitary elastic. Okay, this is the demand curve for unitary elastic. What do we mean? We mean that a change in price by 10% will cause the quantity demand to change by the same magnitude. Okay, by the same magnitude, a 10% increase in price will cause the demand to fall also by 10%. Okay, so the magnitudes are almost the same. Okay, magnitudes they are the same. So let's assume that these are the same, a 10%, decrease. So it's a 10% decrease. The first price was at this point, the second price is now at this point. Okay. It has caused quantity demand. So quantity demand is on this magnitude, né? It's on this side. It has also caused a decrease in quantity demand by the same magnitude. Okay, so we are simply saying that this, so let's assume that this space is equal to space, okay?
Yeah.
That is unitary elastic. Okay. Perfectly inelastic, how does it look? Perfectly inelastic.
Isn't the one that is vertical?
Yes, the one
Yes.
that is. This is our demand curve. This is our demand curve. Okay. Even if the price for that good increased by 100%, quantity demand does not change.
It stays the same.
but quantity demand remained the same. Let's say this was the first price. It has increased to this point. We still buy the same quantity. Okay. We still buy the same quantity. The price was here 50 rand, it's now 100 rand. Quantity demand continues to be 20.
So now let me ask then. So if let's say then there's a price the price decrease from
The price decrease
50 to 35.
Mhm.
The quantity demand is remain the same.
Yes, even if
Perfectly inelastic.
quantity demand remains the same. But now, in business sense now, you cannot decrease the price. Why? Because if you decrease the price, what will happen to your profit? It will go down.
Profit yeah.
Your profit will go down. Your total revenue will go down, because we are simply saying at first, if it was 20 rand multiplying by you are selling 10 units, is equal to what? Equal to 200 revenue. If you decrease it to 15 rand times 10, which continue to be the same, you have lost
50 rand, yeah.
total revenues now 150. So in business sense, you need to increase the price. Okay. Relatively.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
It makes sense. Okay. Relatively, inelastic. What are we saying? The demand curve now looks like this. This is our demand curve. Okay. At first, this was the price. At first, this was the price. And then this was the quantity demand. Okay. And then, okay, let's say it's a price increase so that it makes sense. Let's say it's a price increase. So if it is a price increase, at first we are saying that this was the initial price, ne? This was the initial price, and this was the initial quantity demand. Okay. The first price, the initial quantity demand. Price have increased from this point to this point. Price have increased by 90%. Price have increased by 90%. But quantity demand have only fallen by 20%. Okay. And so it means quantity demand is less responsive to a
price.
yes. Quantity demand is less responsive. It responded, the response was not that much large compared to the increase in what? In price, okay? The increase in price is very big. But it has brought out a small change in quantity demand. Okay. So it's clear, né?
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so demand also, on a demand curve, elasticity does vary. On this point, we have unitary elasticity. So unitary elastic is elasticity which is equal to 1, eh? Because remember we said that a 10% increase is causing a 10% decrease in price. So what is the effect? 10 divided by 10 is equal to 1.
It's supposed to run in.
Yes. So at a demand curve, on a middle point, demand is unitary. Okay. Above, it becomes elastic, and below, it becomes inelastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Above, it becomes elastic. Why is it becoming elastic? Because we are saying that, let's say something which has a price of 50,000. If it increases from 50,000 to 59,000, it seems as if it's now very expensive than before. Okay. A car which was 50,000, it's now costing 59,000. But if you calculate the percentage change, maybe from 50,000 to 59,000, it's just an increase of 4%. Okay. But it seems as if the car is now very expensive. But a cigarette which was costing 1 rand, if the price increases to 4 rand, that is an increase of about 400%. But it looks like it's still very inexpensive. It's still very cheap. Yes, it's still very cheap in that sense of 4 rand, but the increase was of 400%. So at below point C, the demand curve will be inelastic. Even if a cigarette was costing 1 rand, even if it increases to 6 rand, people will continue to buy it.
Right. Yeah.
But above here, a car which was 50,000, now 59,000, you can say, it's now very expensive, okay? So we have arc elasticity and we also have point elasticity. Arc elasticity, the formula for calculating arc elasticity is equal to Q1 minus Q0 divided by Q1 plus Q0 divided by 2. Okay, it's fine. So the formula for calculating arc elasticity. So arc elasticity is when we are calculating elasticity over 2 range points. Okay, over a range of points. If we are saying over a range of points, we are saying that on a demand curve, we want to calculate elasticity between these 2 points, between point B and C. Point elasticity, we are calculating on 1 point. Okay, the formula for calculating arc elasticity, the formula arc elasticity, so it is equal to Q1, Q2, okay, let's say Q2 minus Q1 divided by Q1 plus Q2 divided by 2. Okay? All these, you divide them by P2 minus P1 divided by P1 plus P2 divided by 2. That's how you calculate arc elasticity. But this and this is the same. So you can decide to ignore it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because just like 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. So it changes nothing. Eh?
Yeah.
So it can be simply Q2 minus Q1 divided by Q1 plus Q2 divided by P2 minus P1 divided by P1 plus P2. Okay. Point elasticity is just the way we calculate. We were calculating all the formulas that we're taking into account. How do you calculate point? So point is simple, no? Point, you just say Q2 minus Q1, and then you multiply it by 100. Okay, divided by P2 minus P1. And then you multiply it by 100 so that it becomes a percentage. Divided by P2 minus P1. Okay, so if you multiply it by 100 and multiply here by 100, it's simply the same. You can know it as well. Because at the end of the day, you have a percentage here, you have a percentage here, and you can decide to cancel those percentages. Because they will cancel out on themselves, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how you calculate arc and point elasticity, okay? So we've taken a look on this perfectly elastic, okay? So the determinants of price elasticity of demand, determinants availability of substitute good, percentage of income is the good necessity, the duration, brand loyalty of the good itself, the existence of a complementary good, durability, number of uses of that same commodity, habit of the people, cigarettes. Okay. Income elasticity. So we did take into account income elasticity, and we said that within income elasticity, after we have calculated it as this percentage change in quantity demand divided by income, then you comment.
Yeah.
Is it a normal good or is it an inferior good? You can also show that is it a luxury or is it what? It's a necessity. Okay, so a luxury, after your income changes, then you demand more of that good. So you can see that a luxury is also within a normal good. A necessity is also within a normal good because all these will give you a positive sign. Only an inferior will give you a negative one.
Minus.
A minus, yes. Okay. Cross elasticity. So we did take into account cross elasticity, and we say that you calculate it as percentage change in good X divided by the percentage change in good Y. After you have calculated it, then you comment. Is the good a substitute or is the good a complement. Okay. Okay, so you have any questions on the concept of elasticity? So I will also compile. I think I have them already. Let me check. I think I have questions on elasticity. I think I have questions on elasticity. Questions on elasticity. Okay. Any questions on this one? Where are my questions?
No, so far no.
So far no.
So far so.
Okay, so far so good. Okay, I'm looking for my questions that I have. Okay, let's see these ones. Oh, okay, exactly. Okay, so I'm sending you questions for elasticity. Okay, exactly, it's fine. Okay, so that you can do a small practice. Okay, so that you can do. There are multiple choice questions.
Okay.
Okay, there are multiple
All right.
questions. So I'm sending you on WhatsApp.
Okay.
So that you can take a look on them. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So we missed a slot during the weekend, isn't it so?
This was last week.
It was last week.
No. No. It was, when was it? On Sunday, yeah.
It was on
Remember
Friday.
we were supposed to, yeah, on Sunday.
On
Remember on Sunday we were supposed to have a session, but we didn't.
Oh,
Then
we
postponed
didn't.
it today. Yeah.
So we have to look for a day in which we can do it. Can replace that slot. Okay. So I forwarded. Them on WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we need to take so that we can move on to chapter 7, the theory of consumer behavior. Theory of consumer behavior. Okay. Okay, so we are moving, I think we are moving handsomely. We are moving quite well. So this theory is, especially this one, the theory of costs. Okay, so I think we can, let me see on my schedule when we can have that replacement of that class. When are you available also during this weekend?
On Sunday.
During
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday, yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's fine. So we can meet on Sunday. So Sunday is our usual time, ne?
Yeah, you wrote, yeah, man.
On our usual.
Because I'm off as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
so I'm
off.
off as well. Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. So we can meet on Sunday. You can just attempt these few questions that I have attached on your WhatsApp, and then on Sunday, if there are any questions with regard to that before we move on to our next topic, we can consider that as well.
Okay.